There was a little boy once that was exposed to this abuse. That little boy, growing up, describe him to me before you really understand that things are going wrong.
My memory of being a child is... Oh,
I got you.
got me. Yeah.
Take your time.
I will. No one like my dad. So Reg would introduce my dad to people like Jules Holland, Roger Daltrey, UB40. I spent time with all these fabulous people.
And Jules Holland.
And Jules Holland.
I would love to meet Jules Holland.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't for my dad, I'd probably be able to say, hey,
Yeah.
do you think we can hook up? When Ron found out that my dad is sleeping with his wife, and apparently it also happened in the car that Reg bought him. I mean, it's like the ultimate insult.
Oh my good God.
The ultimate insult. Thanks for the car, Reg. Ron, I'm just going to rump your wife in that car. Cheers.
Hope you don't mind.
Yeah, hope everything's cool. Hope we can all remain friends and there's no problem here.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce you now.
Go for
Not
it.
that you really need an introduction,
Go
Liam.
for your life.
Most people know who you are, and if they don't, they certainly will after this.
Really build me up.
I'm going to do it.
Massage my ego before you crush me, searching for my inner child. Raise me up first.
I will, I promise. So, everybody, this is Liam Tuffs, who is a podcast host, just a general legend. You've got, how many businesses have you got?
4.
So, so you're an entrepreneur. You're definitely one of the, I think, leading podcasters in the UK at the moment, and certainly the fastest growing. You've overtaken most people, really. There's so many people trying to do this. But whatever it is you're doing, and we've spoken about this extensively, you've got a really deep empathy. I've obviously been on yours, and you've got a really deep empathy and a real understanding of the human psyche because of your own story, which is different to most people's. I know you've interviewed a lot of people that have had interesting backgrounds, but because of who your story's linked to and the backstory, it's sort of become quite interesting to people, including James English and Terry Stone. And I think people are fascinated by your story. But actually, the bit that's interesting for me is how you've developed and become the person you've become, because it could have gone either way. So, and it could have done. And here you are sitting in front of the pink, on the purple throne.
Thrilled to be here.
and I'm so grateful you're here.
Any other colour, I would have been disappointed.
I know. So tell us a little bit about who your dad is and who he's linked to, just for those that have never heard the story before.
Okay. I'll be surprised if many of your subscribers and viewers and fan base would have known who he was. When he still is. He's still alive, just not so much kicking. Oh, that's not true. He's actually kicking back in a cell on his own island, the Isle of Wight, in Albany Jail, which I'm sure we'll get to. My father was a small-time Mickey Mouse criminal. That's the only credit I'm going to give him, because he would refer to himself as a gangster. He was sent to jail for armed robbery, even though the post office he attempted to rob was closed. He still got sent to jail for conspiracy. The plan was in place.
Yeah.
He then met Reg Kray in jail. Long and short of it, they become extremely close. There was allegations, rumours, speculation that Reg and my dad were entangled in a sexual relationship. The Sun printed that. They then managed to sue the Sun for, I think, £10,000 because they say it wasn't true. They would openly say they loved each other. And I hate to give my dad any kind of credit, but I also openly tell my male friends I love them. But I would imagine, because anyone that knows about Reg and Ron Kray, the notorious twins from London that ruled with an iron paw, that murdered George Cornell and Jack the Hat McVitie, they will know that Ron was openly gay throughout, who ended up in Broadmoor, complete psychopath. And Reg eventually come out as gay, like a lot of lifers do. People that get sent to prison for life, it's not uncommon that they do turn to male affection, because it's the only affection they can get. And if I'm honest, and the gay community that follow me will love this, I couldn't say whether I would or wouldn't if I was in prison for 20 years and had nobody to touch and hold.
That's a very brave statement, Liam.
Yeah, well, I've thought about these things, and it was a question that I asked one of my guests who spent 20 plus years in jail. I discussed intimacy. We need it.
Yeah.
We need to be held and touched and thought about and considered. And there's no greater way of showing someone that you love than by physically showing them.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that if I was in jail for 25 years, I'd spoon up with a big hairy cellmate and let him make love to me and ask the screws of a week and have Barry White playing in the background. But I may be open to a cuddle. I may be open to a cuddle. But this is me really thinking like broadly.
Yeah.
Trying to put myself in someone's shoes that's been there just out of interest. But so going back to my dad and Reg, they were very, very close to the point where my dad became Reg Kray's power of attorney. All the royalties from the books went his way. My dad got a big house bought from him in Burgess Hill.
Wow.
He played a part in the film. He fell out with Roger Daltrey because initially the Who Presents were going to do the original Krays with the Kemp brothers.
Yeah.
And then because of my dad, no one liked my dad. So Reg would introduce my dad to people like Jules Holland, Roger Daltrey, UB40. I spent time with all these fabulous people.
And Jules Holland.
And Jules Holland.
I would love to meet Jules Holland.
Yeah, well, if it wasn't for my dad, I'd probably be able to say, hey.
Yeah.
Do you think we can hook up? But it'd be like, I know your dad is no. Yeah, so he was given so many opportunities to mix in great circles and be a decent, better person. You know, he's already got role models and people to look up to. Roger Daltrey from The Who. This is just to sort of paint a picture of my father, just so you get the level of narcissism.
Yeah.
Because we're not talking about somebody with narcissistic tendencies like a lot of people have. I think a lot of people have got a little bit of everything in them.
Yeah.
They're on the spectrum somewhere.
Yeah.
And I can certainly rattle off all my imperfections that may be deemed ugly down the line.
Yeah.
But I like to balance them out with being aware.
Yes.
And putting the brakes on. But my old man is completely off the Richter scale. Narcissistic personality disorder. He is the star of the show, and every other human being on the planet is an extra. Wow. And it's that simple. And he would tell Roger Daltrey, have some respect. Who you talking to?
Roger Daltrey, you would say this to.
Lead singer of The Who.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Who's next? Tommy, Quadrophenia. Let's just remember who the man is. He's one of my absolute heroes.
Yeah.
And I've met him, which is, I'm delighted to say that, because I haven't really got many people that I think, wow, I'm glad I've met you, or I'd love to meet you. I'm sort of pretty much, we all eat, sleep, shit, breathe the same. Yeah. We bleed the same colour blood.
Yeah.
If you're a nice person, I'm going to respect you, not just because you're a public. But there's something about Roger Daltrey that I've always thought, wow, what an incredible human being. Funny enough, he used to own a trout farm not too far from me, where I live. And he's notoriously tight, by the way. Sorry, Roger. But
I'll have to tag him.
Yeah, tag him in there. Really, I'm just trying to antagonise him so he contacts me and I can say, please come on my podcast.
Yeah. I like what you're doing here.
Yeah, that was deliberate. Yeah, he's not tight. He's a great guy. But so Peter Gillette, my father, he cannot sustain relationships, total narcissist, falls out with everyone he comes into contact with, doesn't care. This is an important part of the picture to paint. Reg and Ron Kray, two of the most dangerous people the country's ever seen.
Yeah.
I now know there's gangsters and like Eastern Europeans are now moving in that would just have them completely under manners because violence is just a different level now.
Yes, it is, yeah.
But at the time, they were feared and revered and extremely dangerous and infamous.
Yes.
Multiple books.
Yeah.
Films.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to know them. Barbara Windsor, they had slipstreams into celebrities. And Ron Kray, out of the two, I mean, they're both psychopaths, but Ron Kray was certified.
Yeah.
You go to Broadmoor for good reason. And, you know, the stories that they done that you don't see on the films. I mean, Ron Kray was a bloodthirsty, crazed maniac, control freak, overbearing, full-blown narc, obviously.
Yeah.
And like no one was off limits. Very dangerous individual. From prison as well. So from prison, they would still run their empire. They would still run all their organisations. They'd still have links to the outside underworld. They would call the shots.
Yeah.
Kate Kray. Remember Kate Kray come on the scene? What is she? I think it was Hard Men, or she wrote. She's got books, and she had. I think there were series where she'd interview gangsters.
Yes, It was quite a few years ago she did that.
It was years ago, yeah. She's
Yeah.
another one I'd like to interview, but again, because of my dad, I don't think there's any chance of that, because I'm going to say allegedly, but I'm 99% sure this happened.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you for why I'm 99.9% sure it happened, because consequently there was a contract put out on my dad's head for him to be murdered. So, amongst the big house and all the raw my dad also had a Mercedes bought for him from Reg Kray. My dad then starts having sex with Ron Kray's wife, Kate Kray.
I've heard you talk about this before, and it shocks me every time.
Yeah. So, this is one of the biggest gangsters the country's ever seen. Extremely dangerous. And don't forget, when you're that much of a dangerous criminal, you have other criminals that would do anything for you.
Of course.
Just to get Ron Kray's pat on the back. Do me a favour, go and put a bullet in, Pete. He's having sex with my wife. Roger. Not Daltrey. He's a musician. Ron, no problem. So, when Ron found out that my dad is sleeping with his wife, and apparently it also happened in the car that Reg bought him. I mean, it's like the ultimate insult.
Oh, my good God.
The ultimate insult. Thanks for the car, Reg. Ron, I'm just going to rump your wife in that car. Cheers.
Hope you don't mind.
Yeah, hope everything's cool. Hope we can all remain friends and there's no problem here.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So a contract then gets put out on my dad's head. And this is what I mean, a lot of things that I talk about, it's retrospective, because at the time, I don't know any different.
Yeah, of course.
I was very grown up from the age of maybe 7.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
And when I look back, I think, so my dad knew that he had a contract on his head, and the chances are a car was going to drive past my dad's house and spray it up with bullets and potentially kill everybody in the house.
Including you.
Me included.
His son.
But yet he didn't tell us he had this contract out on his head. He still had me over on the weekends that I was due to go and stay with him.
Like, it's insane.
Completely insane. And this is how narcissistic he is. He would speak to Ron on the phone. Now, I've heard this. This isn't third hand.
Yeah.
Who do you think you're fucking talking to? Puffs don't threaten no one. You slag. Shut your fucking mouth. Boom. Reg, get your brother under fucking manners. Who does he think he's talking to, the fat puff? Blah, blah, blah. I'll do what I fucking like. I won't be told. Now, anyone that knows my dad that sees this interview, they'll be in the comments concurring. This is not me making him out to be something more than he was. He genuinely thought he was the biggest man on the planet.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's
an introduction.
Yeah. That paints the picture of my dad. So you can imagine if there's a powerhouse of a man like that.
Yeah.
You can imagine the impact he's going to have on a child, his own child.
Yeah.
So we're not dealing with a strict parent or even a slightly. We're talking about a full-blown powerhouse of a man with narcissistic. We then find out perverted tendencies.
Yeah.
And the ultimate gain for him is complete control. Because I often wonder what's someone's motive. Why are you behaving like that? What do you achieve from this? It's not monetary.
No.
It's control.
It is control.
Addicted to the control of it. And they are the most dangerous fuckers around.
Yes, they are. Now, I mean, that is a wild introduction for those that haven't heard it. I've heard that story, I think, 3 times, and it still makes my jaw drop. Because, you know, as you've said, I know things are different in terms of violence now, but at the time, that, you know, the Krays, and still are known as, because they're the goats, aren't they? Like, you can't really compare anything to that. So for your dad to talk to them in that way after being so, well, the only word is cocky with his position.
Very smug man.
What a joker for a start. But then what he ended up going to prison for, because he's there now for a very long time, you mentioned the word perverted there, is it shows how ludicrous his brain is. So am I right, he got 18 years?
For the crimes that he committed on me and the other two girls that come forward. So I'll try and put this into context for people that are listening now, so they don't think, where's this just come from?
Yeah, sorry, I'm skipping there.
No, it's very easily done when you talk about people like my dad. When you talk about chaotic, narcissistic people,
yeah,
especially when you're trying to recollect things that happened and timelines,
yeah,
I'm normally the one that's all over the shop.
Yeah,
But I'm also purposely being as calm as I can with you.
Yeah.
Because A, you're a female.
Yeah.
And B, I'm well aware that I tap very much and very quickly into anger when I talk to my dad.
Yeah.
When I talk about my dad.
Yeah.
And if you watch me on other interviews, as soon as he's mentioned, I change.
Yes, I've seen.
And I don't like that person.
Yeah.
I'm not an angry, frustrated, venomous, horrible person. So when I can tap into that person so easily,
yeah,
and I've watched myself back, I'm not going to bring that person here. And if I can feel him, I'm going to just take 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, chill out.
Yeah.
Because you don't need a person like me shouting and screaming and like reciting what he's done with all the animation that goes with it, because it's just not a good energy. So I'm going to do this nice and calm and respectfully for you and also for my energy.
Yeah.
Because I want to come away from here today feeling light.
Yes.
Because I've never been. No one's tried to get. Because you're going to try and get under the bonnet of this.
Yes.
Whereas other people just want the shock and awe.
They do. Yeah, you're right.
They want the juice, the gossip.
Yeah.
But I know where you're going to go with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna deliver it as respectfully as I can and as accurate as I can.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, my dad's now 5 years into an 18-year sentence.
Yeah.
So I've sort of shut it out again and again.
Yeah, this is hard for you to do, actually.
So when you revisit it every time,
yeah,
you remember new things.
Yes,
also.
you do.
You remember new things. I mean, there was one, again, I'm now talking in circles, but there was a major thing that I forgot, that I didn't even tell the police when I gave my statement about the things he'd done to me. It was only down the line when another friend of mine, my exact age, told me, and I'll just give it for detail, said, yeah, when your dad used to take me to go and watch the Arsenal, when he'd take me into the toilet, he would come from behind me and he would undo my jeans. He would pull my penis out, and it's like he was taking the wee for me. And I said, my dad used to do that to me.
Yeah.
My dad used to hold my penis when I was going for a wee. It's like, what a weird thing. And I thought, I completely forgot that he'd done that.
Do you know what, though? It wasn't until I came on yours. Interesting that you've just said that because I was obviously going through some stuff, and I remembered there was stuff I hadn't told the police. And if you remember, it was to do with going to the toilet. It was the same sort of thing. It was those first, that's what they do. It's those first tests to see something quite normal helping a child go to the toilet.
Yeah.
How far can I push that? How far can I test that? What do they do? How do they react? It's just the first inroad into their thinking.
Yeah.
How can I push this level of control and predator and get away with it? How far can I go? And I think that's interesting that you've remembered that too.
And when it's your dad.
Yeah.
And, unbeknownst to me, he's doing it to other
children.
Funny enough, at the time, his best friend's brother's child.
Wow.
But his best friend's brother was almost on par as being also his best friend.
Yeah.
So he's doing it to people very, very close.
Yes.
Which he's done a few things like that. Now, there's going to be some things about my dad that I'm not going to be able to mention to you on camera.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to. Because what he got sent to jail for is, it's not tip of the iceberg because it's bad enough.
Yeah.
But he done so much more.
Yeah.
To other people, to people that I love dearly. And one in particular was going to go all the way to court and then pulled out because my dad threatens you. I'll throw acid in your face.
My God.
And anyone that knows him well, they will know that he is capable of the things that I mean, he has also got a lot of bark, and sometimes his bite doesn't compare to it, but he also is very capable of doing extremely there's good reason why my dad has spent most of his life in jail.
Yeah.
Because this latest stint he's done, this is the final one. He's been 6 years for armed robbery, another 8 years for a big opium deal he done with Joey Pyle, who's a very, very respected old school gangster. And if Joey Pyle, and it's good that I disassociate the two, because Joey Pyle is very respected in his community.
Yeah.
And if he'd have known anything about my dad, he'd had nothing to do with him whatsoever.
That's interesting.
It was Reg that put them all together. And I think, well, a lot of people think Reg is also a nonce.
Yes.
A lot of people say
I've
that.
heard that, yeah.
I would always say if Reg knew exactly what my dad was like, he never would have done the favours he did for him. But maybe birds of a feather do flock together. I don't know. There's far too big an age gap between me and the Krays for me to talk about them as if I knew them intimately.
Yes.
I didn't, but I did know Reg as well as I could for a young lad. He put a big lump of money towards my first car. He used to ring up the house regularly. I get a mention in definitely one, maybe two of his books. Certainly in Our Story,
Wow.
which is the popular one. And I was very impressed by that when
Yeah.
I was younger. And also, my dad. This is important to mention as well. And this is hopefully going to be received by the right people that may be in a similar situation or know somebody that is. Now, my dad was my hero. I loved and adored him. His voice would give me butterflies. But he was a force of nature. And at the time when he was back and forth from Parkhurst with Reg, he was bringing songs out. That's how I've met the UB40,
Yes.
Jules Holland. He was a singer. And
Wow.
he had his single put out called Homeless Child. You'll see that in Google. Me and him both wearing dungarees. And so, yeah, I was very much in awe of him. A lot of people that was close to him were, because he's got this personality where he'll walk into your house and you'll feel like the stranger because he's immediate control.
Yeah.
Like immediate, like them confidence tricksters, them like big American salespeople.
Yes. Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Big American cult-like salesman.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's him with a
Wow.
with a Cockney accent.
Which actually a lot of people in this country love that Cockney accent. So, if, you got, in fact, when you were upstairs, you said something like, all right, Treacle, to Tracy, one of the people that work here. And she said, oh, he's got a lovely voice. He just called me Treacle. You've got that kind of voice as well that people just love because it's Cockney. It's everything that we associate and like America associates with this country, that the whole Cockney
the Americans
thing.
like the Cockney accent. Although I have to say now, a lot of people do think I'm a Londoner. I'm not. I'm from Crawley.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a London overspill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not.
You're not a proper Cockney.
I'm not a Londoner.
No.
No.
You can't claim that. But anyone that's not.
Yeah, I can't claim. I'd love to, because I'm proud of the country.
Yeah.
And I love the country, and
Yeah.
I'd like to see it improve and develop and evolve.
Yes.
And I'd like to see a lot more unity.
Yeah.
But that's another subject completely. But yeah, I'm for the record, I'm from Crawley, which is. It's like being in London, but no, it's a London overspill.
Well, it took me
That's where
about
you
an
get
hour
housed.
to get to you from Victoria.
Yeah.
And it takes about an hour to get to Northampton from Euston, but Northampton's nowhere near London, really. I would imagine classed as a bit closer to London than what we are.
I'm half-hour drive from Croydon,
Yeah, that's it.
South London.
Simples.
So yeah.
Whereas we're about an hour and a bit. So, but you've definitely got that accent. So that's why people assume it.
Yeah.
Because you've got the strong, powerful Cockney sound.
Never assume. Always think that could be Crawley.
Yeah, exactly. That's a lesson learned. If you take nothing away from this podcast, take that.
The Crawley accent.
Geography.
Yeah.
So your dad was this showman then, essentially.
Oh, very, very, very much so.
Yeah.
I mean, such a complicated, multi-layered individual, but unfortunately, you have to judge somebody by their core.
Yeah.
And all the layers of facade, the core of somebody is where you make your judgment. And the core of him, and it was his sister that used this word, and it didn't enter my brain until it was said to me, is evil.
I mean, that's going some, isn't it?
And he's very smiley. He jokes everything off, like a lot of manipulators.
Yeah.
So when he's grabbing that young boy's penis,
Yeah.
if he was to be like, "Oh, it's all right, fuck him, it's only me."
It's always a joke with a narcissist,
Yeah, it's
isn't it?
always a joke with him. Push the
Yeah.
boundaries, a joke. Yeah, he's switched on me before. I mean, I don't even know where to. If you want to go into the abuse side of it, I can do it in like a chronological order, because what a lot of people will think is there was sexual abuse involved,
Yeah.
but what he done to me was minor compared to what he done to the two other girls that come forward. And really, that's where my deep-rooted sense of vengeance come into place. Like, I can do what you've done to me, which I'll list it. He would suck my tongue to the point where I would think that was normal, and then I'd then put my tongue in his mouth because I thought, well, that's what you do, monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
And one particular time, which is, well, I can never forget these things. It's stamped in my brain.
Yeah.
I'd put my tongue in his mouth, and he sucked it so hard. We discussed this on
we did.
when you come on mine, but it really hurt. So if anyone's had their tongue sucked,
It does hurt a lot. It feels
will-
like they're going to rip it out.
it's very painful. So I never forgot that. And this was like part of the expose. When I mentioned, you started wanking your cock off in front of me in the same bed. You noticed that it made me feel uneasy. You then stopped, sort of scratched your leg, palmed it off, smoothed it out, got out of bed. We was in his bed sit like a halfway home in between his jail sentences. You've then walked round to the toilet with an erection in front of me, explained to me that's what happens when men wake up in the morning. It's like, I'm too young to be waving your erection around.
Yeah.
And what on earth are you doing fucking wanking it off in front of me?
Yeah.
That didn't go on, it wasn't laying there, kicking back, coming to completion.
No.
So I've got to keep it absolutely factual.
Yeah.
So there was that incident. He would always leave porn on in front of me from a very young age. I mean, I got hooked on porn very young.
Which is so damaging for a little boy, isn't it?
Completely. I don't watch porn now probably as a recovering process for that, because I know how it detaches you from
it does.
from real intimacy.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends, if they're struggling with their relationships in the bedroom for whatever reason, they may think, oh, my missus isn't interested in me anymore. My wife doesn't fancy me anymore. And I'll always say, how often do you watch porn? Oh, fucking regular. How often do you wank? I don't know, once a day. That energy is going to come through your soul. That's going to come out of your pores. Like she may think that we're fueled by instincts and energy.
Yes, we are.
And
energy doesn't lie.
if you're walking around empty all the time, your wife can't. She can feel that you're empty. If she feels that you're full and you're ready and you're hungry and you're virile,
it's different.
She
you're
might
right.
want to make love to you.
Yeah.
So it blows. When you start, it's like, this is going to be a deep conversation, but I'm telling you, porn is a fucking good gateway to misery.
It
Believe
really
me.
is.
And it's lonely.
Yeah.
Who watches porn in a group?
Well, and those that do, they're probably about 15 because it's the first time they've done it.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, we've been there with a pillow dividing us in the front room. But again, we all knew about porn from such a young age, because I was introduced to it from maybe 8, 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Irrespective, There's
He's definitely trying to shape you if he's doing that. Those things are, like you say, about control.
He wanted me to become very much a mini him.
Yes.
That's exactly what he wanted me to do. He wanted me to sell drugs at an early age. He wanted me to enforce extreme violence from a very early age. So show me the porn, sucking my tongue, wanking his cock about in front of me. Now, them things there are bad enough.
Yeah.
They'll leave their mark. I didn't even realise that was abuse. I was getting photographs from the loft, or my mum's loft, should I say, that had been there for years, and then I put them in my loft, and then years later, I've got them out, and we're now going back, let's just say around 9 years. My partner at the time, we was living together, I've got these pictures out, and I'm going through these old pictures, and then I've come to my dad's honeymoon pictures, which I went on. That was very strange. He'd be having sex with his new wife. Every afternoon was siesta. They have a siesta. What that means is I sit in the lounge like a lemon because, like, 10-year-olds don't have siestas. I'm full of energy anyway.
Yes.
I've just had a packet of Skittles. He'll be in the bedroom with the door very much ajar, having sex with his wife. So every day I would see him having sex with his new wife. Abuse. Again, didn't realise it. You just, if that's all you know, that's all you know. There was also pictures on his honeymoon of me and him in a pool. Now, I can show you these. In fact, I'll send them to you.
Yeah.
Because I always like to back things up.
Yeah.
This isn't just flannel. There it is.
And can I just interject there? The reason that you like to do that is because your dad's basically accused you of lying about all of this, hasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. That's why you feel the need to say that.
100%. Yeah. Everything that I'm ever going to say is like, I can provide receipts.
Yeah, and bear in mind he's in prison for 18 years.
Oh, yes.
So, you know, when he's saying, "Oh, my son's lying about this," I know who I'm believing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he was found unanimously guilty.
Yeah.
And it didn't take him too long to decide that he was completely and utterly guilty of it. And
Yeah.
it was a 2-week trial that went on for 3 weeks. So he got more than his fair chance to put his case forward. Oh, and he's not just guilty of that. He's guilty of so much more. And 18 years was too lenient for the things he's done and the lives he's destroyed.
Because people are too scared. People are too scared to actually go to court. Yeah.
And the people that I had contacted me, it's like, I can't keep saying, okay, there's some, although I did at the time, someone else has come forward and said this, so that, and then my dad would joke about that. Oh, it's like Noah's Ark. Another 2 have come forward. Narcissist. Joking it off again.
Yeah. It's all a joke.
Yeah, it's all, yeah. Oh, look how Liam's exaggerating. Someone else has come forward. And but then he'd say another two. It's like, no, I didn't say. I didn't say that.
No.
And then he'd also say, oh, the boy that cried rape. Oh, my dad raped me. It's like, no, I didn't say that either. So what he's doing, he's amplifying what I'm saying to make it sound like I've exaggerated everything and that I am lying.
To deflect.
You're twisting words.
Yeah.
Peter, you're twisting words. And the good thing is, I remember what I say, and I stick to the truth.
Yeah.
Like, never try and destroy someone's life with a lie when you can ruin theirs with the truth.
And also, I ain't being funny before you tell the story about the photos, but no child.
Well, remember, because I was going off.
I know, it's all right. I felt it. I'm bringing it back in.
Reel me in.
I will. No child will make this shit up. No child is going to sit there and say, oh yeah, my dad would wank in front of me and then he'd walk in front of me. No child's going to make that up. No child. In the very rare occasions that they do, there will be something so severe going on for them that there's actually a reason that they're doing it. But it will be so few and far between that a child would make that up. And certainly they don't turn into an adult that continues to tell the same story verbatim. Well, you know.
Bear this in mind as well. Think of what was in it for me. So when I eventually come out, I mean, it's another huge, I mean, we could be here for days.
I know, there's such a story.
That's the problem. So I'm trying to consolidate it so that people don't lose interest, so we can hit home with the message.
Yeah.
This could save somebody.
Yeah, I believe that.
I mean that.
Yeah.
So what was in it for me? Because by the time I decided I'm going to expose this animal, and I decided to expose this animal when he gave me no other choice.
Yeah.
And then when I found out that he'd raped a 13-year-old girl who contacted me to tell me, and it all added up, it all stacked up, I was never going to let that go.
Yeah.
I have forgiven him for what he's done for me. He'll watch this one day. I forgive you, you fucking animal. But I forgive you and I'll always love you. There you go. But I can't let it go.
When he's done that to others.
You've got to be held accountable for terrible things that you've done. And it's easy to block out when things happen to you. But when you see it to somebody else, it's like, you've crossed a line now. Silence is compliance.
Yeah, you're right.
I can't be complicit to that. If I know that you've done that, you've got to go.
Yeah.
And that's what I said in court when they tried to play all sorts of fucking mind games in there because my dad was directing his brief before he sacked him. I'm going off again. But when I finally exposed him, I'm in my 30s. I'm very much a strong leader of man. That sounds fucking narcissistic saying that. But
no, but you're just a really strong masculine energy.
I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. I could rattle off them all day, but I shan't. But I know who I am.
Yeah.
I'm a solid bloke that you can absolutely fucking rely on.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Yeah.
Done me no favours coming out. I've been a victim of fucking child sex abuse.
There was no need for you to do that.
Embarrassing, humiliating. I run a security firm. I've got big muscly, strong men that work for me, that keep pubs and clubs and construction sites secure. I've got an obligation to be strong, not come across as a victim.
Yeah.
There was no mileage in it for me to do that.
No.
So his theory of, he's lying, it's like, for what?
Yeah. There's
would I lie?
nothing that would come out of this for you. Other than just, and also when people lie, their story unfolds. A lie always gets caught out because you can't maintain a lie.